Jeppy, and I'd like to welcome you to Jeppy's Entertainment Museum.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Mike Soloff from Jeppy's Entertainment Museum, and
I'm Zach from Jeppy's Entertainment Museum. Welcome to Two Guys in a Comic Book. Stay tuned for some very cool stuff coming on about some of the different books that we've been talking about today.
Zach, listen, put that down. You've been at that for 12 hours
sorry, I got
now,
lost
okay?
in it.
I'm really...
I had to work. Okay, sorry about that. By the way, this is a very cool promotional item that Marvel sent out with the Axis Comics. Marvel sent these out as a free giveaway, and I just love how the way it changes through, and it's a very cool little folding thing that Marvel decided to do. When they get promotional stuff done, they do it right.
I might be easily amused, but I gotta admit that I spent a good half an hour just flipping that, going, how is this made?
Exactly.
It's that weird, and I'm that simple.
So it's not simple.
It's fascinating.
It
flips.
Childlike wonder.
That's it. Oh,
that's a better way to do it. There we go.
Okay, speaking of childlike wonder and how it gets ruined by well, not ruined, but as you get older, adapted into comics. Let's talk about these right here. I love these. Who out there is an Archie fan?
Oh. Apparently he's not.
Man down.
He's going to go ahead and go there for a minute.
No problem.
And we'll go ahead and we'll talk about Archie.
But how many of you guys are out there Archie fans or Sabrina fans and watch those when you were younger on TV and things like that? Well, lately, because of Walking Dead, they've decided to make them a little bit more adult.
And I love the idea of that. The first thing is obviously Afterlife with Archie, which is a brilliant idea where... Imagine, if you will, the zombie apocalypse hits Riverdale, and so what happened? It could totally happen. So what happens is Archie and his pals start becoming zombies, and stuff gets weird. As you can see, as we thumb through it, the art is very well done. But the cool thing about it is, like you said, the adult manner in which they take it.
There's blood. There's guts. There's even mild. The things, parts.
There's emotional trauma.
Yes, there's everything. There's killing. There's dogs and cats falling from the sky.
Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. And with Halloween coming around, this is such an amazing way to go ahead and actually get people into this. Because as a comic fan, and I'll be the first to admit it, I'm more of a superhero guy. I'll delve into the independent stuff, but as far as like the Archie stuff, it was never my bag. This is my bag. This is right in my wheelhouse. This is meant for people like me that maybe don't read Archie, but are willing to pick it up to try something different.
And they recently killed off Archie. Spoiler alert, but if you've woken up and watched TV or anything... I'm sorry. Okay. Now he's a zombie. But what's cool is, let's say you weren't a zombie. Let's say you weren't an Archie fan. Mm-hmm. They've decided to do Sabrina too in the exact same way. Really scary, wonderful, great art, and just beautiful, beautiful story.
And what's great about this is the first issue is out, so it's very easy to jump on board.
Scary.
Okay. And it's very much like a 70s horror film with the way that they went ahead and produced it and the way that they sell it.
Can you imagine if when you were little or when your mom was little and you might have said, hey, Mom, let's look at comics, and you reach up to the little comic stand and the first thing you get is, let's get an Archie comic, let's get a Sabrina comic.
Oh,
and
my God.
Ah!
The one thing I will say is that's where responsible retailers put this on the higher shelves for adults.
So what other great things do we have over here that's coming out?
Well, I want to go ahead and do this real quickly. I teased it before the last break, and that was a Southern comic book, and that is this book called Southern Bastards.
Wonderful read.
Now, again, the book that Jason Aaron, who's doing the Thor book that we talked so much about in the last break, he has gone ahead and done a crime story. And what's great about it is that as someone who reads a lot of the independent stuff and reads a lot of the, darker stuff, there's nothing really dealing with the South. Mm-hmm. And as someone who grew up in a southern area in West Virginia and has been in there and has family down in the South, you tend to go ahead and realize how much of a different world it really is.
Captures it beautifully with his writing.
It really does. His writing, you can tell it's someone that's lived in that area, that's lived in the Alabama area and has dealt with that. And the other thing that I love about this is the way that the book changes at the end of this first volume. Because the entire time they're pitching it as if this one person is who you're going to follow, and then you find out it's not at the end of the book. And I love that. And it's in the same vein of his other independent stuff he's done, such as Scalped, which is a fantastic crime noir story based on an Indian reservation. Mm-hmm. It's also very much in the same line of his The Other Side, which is a very dark Vietnam book.
And he just came out with a brand new one also called Men of Wrath,
Which
if I
again-
remember right. Very dark, but really cool.
And
read.
again, still in that southern setting, and he does a very good job with the main character of capturing what it is to go ahead and be a part of that southern setting. And it's an area of the world that doesn't really get talked about, especially in comics and especially in crime comics. They're always looked upon as lesser, and I think this book and then Men of Wrath is really going to kind of show that part of the country as being, yes, they may not speak the same way that we do, yes, they may not approach things the same way we do, but they can be just as vicious and violent and venomous as any New York gang or Tony Soprano could ever be.
It's a musical, as my grandfather would say.
I can't wait.
Let's go from here, though,
Okay.
into outer space.
Outer space, you
Outer
say?
space! Star Trek has been doing so many really neat things lately.
Okay.
Not only in their regular stuff, but also in their crossover things. So I thought I'd touch on two just totally classic things from Star Trek that are
Okay.
going on right now. First of all is this one. It's called The City on the Edge of Forever. For those of you who are Star Trek fans, and I know that there's probably a bunch of you out there, if you got together 1,000 Star Trek fans and said, what was your favorite episode of the very first series, chances are they would probably say this one. It's been voted many, many times just the best episode. This script won what was called a Nebula Award, which was just the highest award that they could give in science fiction writing. And they finally decided, after all this time, to return back to the basics of the original script. When it was first filmed,
Okay.
a gentleman who's sort of really, really famous, Harlan Ellison. If you've read any science fiction, you'll know Harlan Ellison stuff.
All right.
And he had written the original script, which they changed around for TV because Gene
It's a
Roddenberry,
hell of a time.
amazing guy that he was, said, we can't do this, we can't do that. We have budgetary things. It always comes down to money, especially
Yeah.
back in the 60s. So Harlan came up with this great script that they couldn't film any of it. So after all these years, they've finally gone back to Harlan's original script.
Really?
And are doing a comic based on that.
So they're
It's phenomenal.
They're taking the original script and they're providing new artwork for it and everything that Ellis wanted to go ahead and do. Or is it Ellen?
Harlan Ellison.
Ellison.
Yes.
I'm horrible with names. But everything that
okay,
Harlan
Bob.
Ellison, thank you. But everything that Harlan Ellison wanted to go ahead and do in that episode, they're letting him do.
Yep.
It's kind of like you said. There's no budget restraints. As long as the artist has the palette to do it and the skill to do it, they can just go hog wild.
That's it. And you can see his original vision for the episode. And there were a lot of characters that didn't make it into the actual one that was filmed. And it's just a great peek, sort of behind the scenes of original intent.
I do want to ask one question for you.
Sure.
Is it as good as the episode?
It's different from the episode, but yes, I have been a fan of this. They've released books before in the past
Okay.
with the original script and the story behind the battles that went into making it and not making it and what got cut and what didn't. So I'm very familiar with the script. Stunning script, very involved. The characters that they cut out were amazing characters. They just didn't quite equate over to what was happening in the actual TV
Okay.
episodes. So yes, rush out in a buying frenzy and get this one. But
I want to go ahead and I see there's another Star Trek here, and
Yep,
you
yep.
being the resident Star Trek fan that I am not, what is this other thing that's going
this
on right
other
here?
thing that they're doing is they came up with this really neat idea. For those of you who are fans of the original Star Trek stuff, a gentleman by the name of John Byrne has gone back and gone into all the episodes and been able to take frames from the TV shows and then write new stories based on pictures from the original show. So it's almost like watching brand new episodes from TV. Things you're seeing, you're familiar with the characters, you can see the action,
Okay.
but the stories are just great.
Now here's a question that I have with that.
yeah.
Are they taking it like, is he taking, for example, let's say, The City on the Edge of Forever? Is he taking pieces from that episode? Or is he taking your action in the pictures that you were showing? So lovely. So very well done with the photorealism. Are they just taking them from all over the place and building a story around
They're
it?
taking them from all over the place. Plus, nowadays with photo editing, I could put your head on my head and no one would even notice.
No, they would notice.
Okay. They might know, but these guys have got it
Touche,
down,
they would notice.
so much better than we are right now
Okay.
at doing that sort of stuff. And they take old images and they're able to, if a head was facing this way on this one, and it would look better in this shot for the dramatic story, and they were able to fool with the images to just make
Okay.
a brand new episode.
And see, and that's very, very cool. As
Yep.
again, as someone who's not a big Star Trek fan, if I was to go ahead and jump on one of those streaming services and watch through all this, this is the type of thing that after I was done, I'd be like, I want more. I want more of this, but there's nothing available. This is the type of thing that they're creating to give you more of the stuff that you love, which is the most important part of everything they do here is giving you more of what you love.
You know what I have to say to that?
What?
Ook ook.
Ook ook?
You know why I say ook ook?
Why do you say ook?
Are you a Planet of the Apes fan?
I am.
Ook
sir.
ook.
All
Let's
right.
tell them about some of the Planet of the Apes stuff that's coming out.
Well, first things first, let us show off this gorgeous art book. That, by the way, art
Brand new,
books
just came out.
Just came out. All these art books that are released, and we're going to focus on Planet of the Apes, but they do them for everything. They do them for the Avengers, they do them for X-Men, they do them for all the different movies, Marvel, DC, they do it for anything and everything. But these are beautiful, just artist.
I call them coffee table books.
Yes.
I always have, and I collect these. My house has 10,000 of these just piled up, and it's crazy.
And it's
but I
great
love
because
them.
it goes through the history of the different universes and everything. This one, like you said, focused strictly on Planet of the Apes, and not just the 2 new movies that have been released.
Everything.
Everything. And that's the amazing. And Planet of the Apes is important because of how much it affected the actual makeup working of the world. Kind of like how John Romita Jr., George Romero's the zombie movies, they went ahead and changed the way makeup was done for horror movies. This changed the way that practical effects and makeup was done for characters in movies. And you can see a lot of the stuff that they do here.
I love this one. That's one of my favorite shots that they've redone for the book, and I want to get a poster of that so bad.
That is awesome. But no, and this is a good way to look back at the history of it and see what they did to change everything.
And this has so much behind the scenes stuff. It's not just pictures from the movies, it's things from the cartoons, it's the sets, it's the model builders, it's the while they're filming, it's the makeup tests, it's everything that you can think of behind the scenes of every movie, every TV show, every basic incarnation of Planet of the Apes that they've done from I think it was 66 when the first one
Yeah,
came
I
out,
believe so.
through today.
And then what's great is you can even see as take a look at this stuff. One of the big things that really wasn't talked about in either of the first 2 of these new 2 movies that have come out is the way that you have Andy Serkis. He is the actual actor. Before you'd have to animate someone in there and they would go ahead and just do the lines and they figure out he is actually acting. They put as you can see right here, there's the green facial dots to go ahead and get the facial recognition. And what they do is they basically superimpose the ape face on him, but every expression, everything he's done, that's him as an actor. He's there. He's also known for doing Gollum in the Lord of the Rings series. And this is
He's the go-to guy when they need figures,
Motion
creatures. Yes.
So no, it's awesome to go ahead and see all this, and again to see all these ideas that they had in there and how big the scope of everything was they were trying to do.
But you know the newest thing that they're doing with Planet of the Apes that it wasn't even in this book
What
because
is
it's so
that?
brand new? This guy.
All right.
This guy right here. Star Trek, believe it or not, is crossing over with Planet of the Apes in an upcoming issue.
Okay.
Actually, a couple of issues. This is what's called an ash can.
All right.
Ash cans are little tiny previews that they put out. And I got this at the New York Comic Con when I was just there. So it just gives you a little taste, a little nibble.
And what they're doing.
Yes.
And I think that's very cool because when it comes to Star Trek and crossing these 2 worlds over, I assume a black hole is going to be involved and then going through. That's the way it normally goes.
Or problems on the holodeck.
Problems on the holodeck.
Yes.
But I love
A dream, possibly.
Dreams
He
always
wakes
work.
up, Kirk wakes up in the shower, and
Patrick
there's
Duffy's
an
in there
ape
with him. Yeah, and it's the whole thing.
It's scary. I don't even want to think about it.
But no, it's very cool the fact that one that IDW and Boom are working together because both of these properties are held by different companies, and for these companies to come together and go, we have a story we want to tell between the 2, so let's do it. It's amazing to see these companies work together with these properties, and it's also amazing that someone went, do you want to know what'd be fun? Do you know what's missing out of my Star Trek? Living apes. Do you want to know what's missing out of my Planet of the Apes? A spaceship. And they're able to go ahead and mix it together and mash it together. I'm excited to go ahead and see what this is, not being a Star Trek fan, but being a Planet of the Apes fan.
Beam me up, Caesar.
I like it. I like it. Now, since we are talking about TV and crossovers, there's one more thing that I want us to get to. And
Do you dare?
I dare a devil all the time, and that is, I'm going to show these 2 because these are the
These
only,
are like sneak previews.
these are images. This is from John Romita Jr.'s drawing, who we talked about earlier, of The Man Without Fear, and this is the new logo that Marvel has released for the Daredevil Netflix show. Now, what's amazing with this is that I was lucky enough to be involved in that panel. I saw about 20 minutes of the first episode, I assume.
What'd you think?
As a Daredevil fan, the character that I love almost more than life itself and my lovely wife, it was everything I wanted. They were spot on with the casting, which I was always worried about. Everyone seems to have an understanding and a knowledge, and much like everything that Marvel does, they're doing it right. They're not tying anyone's hands. They're going, let's make this what it's supposed to be. Let's take from Frank Miller's, original run on Daredevil, where he changed the character, made it a little more dark. Let's take from Bendis's run of Daredevil, where he kind of puts, for lack of a better term, puts him through the ringer. And they're doing this very good job of creating this character and this world around him that feels very genuine. And as someone that's a fan, I was sitting on the edge of my seat everything I saw. My favorite moment, and I believe I can talk about this, was one of the
Just in case.
was one of the extended trailers they shown, and it was after he had been in the middle of a fight. He threw himself out a window with the guy, and he's sitting there pulling himself up off of the pavement with, a little bit of blood dripping down, and you hear a voice out of nowhere go, "Get up, Matt." And then they flash back to an image of after he's been blinded, and he's sitting there, his dad's coming home, obviously, from a fight, and he is sitting there telling him, "I don't want to study anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard." And he goes, "You have to, son. You don't want to end up like me." And then, I apologize if this gets weird, there's a moment where he takes his son's hands and puts them on his face to feel the different lumps and bruises of what it means to actually be fighting and how he wants a better life for him. And as a fan of reading, reading all that stuff, I went through the moon because that's the tone I want. And I'm excited for this. They're saying sometime in 2015 for it. The rumor date has been May 1st, same day as Avengers Age of Ultron. So keep an eye out for this, especially if you're a fan. It's leading to so much more. And if they get even a quarter of this right, it's going to be one of the most entertaining things you can watch.
And I'll tie this slightly back into just the new run of Daredevil that's out. Not quite new right now, but I mean the newest writer on it is Mark Waid, one of my favorite writers, and I buy a lot of comics. But every week, that's the one that I go to because he is the greatest cliffhanger writer in the world. Every issue just goes, oh my God, how is he going to get out of this one? And I don't do that in comics much. I don't see that happening. But this one, it's like watching the old serials.
And the thing I've loved about his Daredevil run, because he's been on it, for now, almost 2 years?
Yeah.
The thing I've loved about the run is the fact that up until that point in time, Matt Murdock went through some stuff. Bendis, Ed Brubaker, Andy Diggle, Kevin Smith even, they all put him through his paces in this entire run. The entire series was basically about, let's see how much we can destroy Matt Murdock's psyche.
Let's kill him.
And they did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
And then when you come back and your first issue of Mark Waid's run, it's completely different tone. He's able to go ahead and switch tone, and it doesn't feel out of place. None of it do you go, man, they're just making the character more light because they can. Everything has a place and a purpose and a reason. My favorite part of that first issue he did when he first came on is this part where he's talking to Foggy and walking around and explaining why he has this new attitude. And that's what's great about Mark Waid, is he can go ahead and change tone.
I've talked to a lot of writers, and when I mention Mark Waid, the first thing that they mention is how he's like the master plotter. He just is so excellent at knowing where he wants people to head to, and characters and storylines, and be able to go step by step and just get you really involved in everything.
I'll tell you what, I'm very excited with him, not just as the writer on Daredevil, because I'm with you. I buy a lot of comics, and that's one of the ones that...
You know what else? Oh, yeah, I think I know where you're heading.
Yes, I will. It's going to be Star Wars, of course. And that's beginning with the new year. Marvel is launching 3 new Star Wars titles. We'll go ahead.
Actually, that wasn't where I thought you were.
Oh, really?
I thought you were heading to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which Mark Waid is going to be writing the new thing. But tell us more about Star Wars.
Okay, I will go ahead and do that. Then I'll let you talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Star Wars, what they're doing is they're launching 3 books at the beginning of next year. They're launching a Darth Vader series that's going to be written by Karan Gillan, and it's going to, I forget the artists on it, but it is one of the bigger artists. And then you have a main Star Wars series that's going to be written by Jason Aaron, and it's going to be drawn by John Cassaday. Now the cool one, and this is where the Mark Waid ties in, they're doing a Princess Leia series, and he is going to be writing Princess Leia.
See, I did not know that.
And he is also they're going to be drawn by the Dodson, so it's going to be just that beautiful art that they do. So I'm very excited for that because he gets to play in this new universe that no one has ever had the chance of his caliber to go ahead and
And
really
the
play in.
Dotsons are amazing. They
They're
draw
amazing
such
artists.
beautiful women in comics.
They really
they're
do.
just capture the essence of gorgeous women.
And
which
also,
is great.
the other thing that the Dotsons do very well is the women are always strong.
Yes.
No matter how gorgeous and good looking they are, they're always strong
Absolutely.
women.
Yeah.
Now, since I wasn't going in a different manner, go ahead and tell us about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. book that he's
Agents of
doing.
S.H.I.E.L.D. book that he's going to be doing. If you are catching up on TV at all, you know that last year we're now in the beginning of season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've got to throw in my own personal thing. If you're wondering why I said Hai Ming, I went to high school with one of the characters, one of the actors on there, Ming Na Wen. So it's just so great to see her every week on the screen in such a high quality TV show, action packed, amazingly ties into the movies that are out there. That's the great thing about Marvel, is they're just doing things right in terms of tying in movies and books and TV shows, and they're just hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah, and that's very, very cool. I had seen the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. book. In fact, the release date is actually, I believe it's New Year's Eve. Because they're doing that. There's also another big book that's being released. I can't remember the title of it, but Marvel is going all out with 2 volumes there. And I'm excited for it because I will be the first to admit this show started out slow for me. And then and again, we're far enough away, spoiler alert, where you had Hydra being the kind of taking over everything, the show changed its tone entirely.
Absolutely.
And everything that came before became more important because it wasn't just about them filling time. You then see the channel that they were trying, the channel they were trying to guide everyone through to get to this point. So I'm very excited for the book because I hope they get to expand on that universe more because they keep bringing in so much stuff. And as a fan, I know there's so much more they could do.
We're all fans of the stuff here. As a matter of fact, in the museum, we are going to feature very shortly an autographed copy of the first Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. signed by the entire cast.
Get out of town.
Get out of town. But we've got a lot of, we're slowly working in more and more autographed things. We were
Okay.
talking about Walking Dead before.
Yes.
We have the very first Walking Dead issue signed by Kirkman and Tony Moore, who was the artist. We got a lot of really excellent things here in the museum.
We really do.
Everybody should come and see them.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Also, don't we have some other cooler things coming up that we may be able can hint at a little bit
Yes.
later on?
Yes.
Okay.
Tell you what, let me reach into my bag of goodies here.
Okay.
You like Batman?
I do. I
You
like
know what that is?
That is what I would call an artist proof.
That is more than just an artist proof. That is an original piece of art that a gentleman by the name of Kelly Jones did for me.
Really?
He's one of my favorite Batman
How did you get
artists
this?
because he just draws an extra scary Batman with like big ears and all sorts of other things. Let me
And,
reach
and the
down.
cape
into
is
my-
very Spawn-esque, where it's kind of flowing everywhere. How did you get this?
I got that because I tend to go to a lot of conventions.
Okay.
And when I go to the conventions, now that I am the collections and exhibits manager here at the museum, I said we need to get a lot more artists involved with bringing in brand new original stuff. So I am pleased to announce that coming up starting on November 19th,
Okay.
we are going to have in our comics library, we have right now about 1,000 comics in there, all sorts of rare, amazing things. We're going to have a whole wall dedicated to original art by rotating artists. For the first couple of months, about every two to 3 months, we're going to be changing artists. But I'm proud to say that the very first person that we're going to have is Kelly Jones.
That's awesome.
It really is.
Especially with his Batman, and with Batman just passing its 75th anniversary, it's amazing that he's going to open up his back catalog and go take this stuff and go with it.
He has got a brand new book coming out, by the way, on that day. That's why we're trying to make the two go together.
Okay.
That is called a gallery edition. And that
Okay.
differs slightly. It's similar to the Walking Dead book we were looking at before,
All right.
but it's bigger. It's going to be this size artwork right here. And it's all going to be his pencils for his original 6-issue run
Okay.
of Batman. So it's going to be stunning stuff coming out from
Right
Graffiti
here.
Editions. Want to thank all you guys for joining us again. We hope you had a great time and you learned a lot. We love it here at the Jeffy's Entertainment Museum, and we want to invite all of you to come on down.
And in addition to that, anytime you guys get to come down, we have a membership that you can go ahead and join. It gets you 20% off in the gift shop, 30% off from Black Friday till the end of the year. And the other great thing is that it gets you early access to other events like the Kelly Jones exhibit he's talking about and all the different cool stuff we have coming up in the next year. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and we will see you again next time on Two Guys the Comic Book.
He's coming for you.
He's coming for me. Ah!
Cheers.
It's not so scary.
No.